remind everyone again, please speak slowly and loudly so that the court reporter can hear you. Thank you.
I think Mr. McKenna just want to see if I could hold up and keep this jacket on the whole time. Well, thank you guys very much. My name is Randall Spackman. I've now gotten this down to 31 minutes, so I'll move along quickly. I'm on the Westchester School Board. I'm the president of Chatsworth Historical Society. I'm on the Brandywine Battlefield Task Force Steering Committee. But the biggest thing is I'm the executor of my grandfather's trust, Thornbury Farm, from 1709. The actual site of the Battle of Brandywine, and we're working with Chester County to get a heritage center there. That will be a little museum up by my farm market to help bring school groups and things like that about the engagement zone. One thing that's so important is we've talked about a lot of the history tonight. That's why I'm wearing the 2nd PA uniform right now, to show some of the different things that happened in this area that's so important that people understand and recognize. This was a battle with farmers against the British Army. The entire most advanced army in the entire world was right on our doorstep here in Chester County, being fought by farmers. These were farmers that hadn't gone through Valley Forge yet. They hadn't been fully trained. They went to hand-to-hand combat with bayonets right there in that corridor. That is really, really big deal. Now, one thing that I'm asking, also being a major landowner myself, is I understand the Robinsons' rights as a landowner to sell their property. I completely get that. But one thing I'm asking for is something that we worked with Toll Brothers, with Thornbury Knoll. We worked with Cavanian on the other side with Thornbury Township, with the development of Bridlewood and the Bizzuto group and all that. We can work together to move the density to 202. Keep the South New Street corridor open where the Hessians marched and other things happened, of course, the beautiful scenic byways. I'm also like to submit in the record the Chapter 4 of the Chester County Commissioner's Report on the Brandywine Battlefield Access about biking and trail system. Being that we're developing this heritage center on Thornbury Farm, Sandy Hollow Park, and also in Dilworth Town, we're trying to connect all these different units and places together through bicycle, trail access, even up to Stetson Middle School. So eventually school children or track groups can walk down safely across Route 926 and get to these other areas. I think remembering while we're here, now obviously we're all upset about the traffic and the this and the that, but we also have to be able to preserve some entity of the farm to some degree so we can remember what's happened there. In next year, September, and the 3rd week of September, in Brandywine 2022, we're going to be doing the 245th anniversary of the Battle of Brandywine, right there on our farm in Sandy Hollow Park. From that high point, you actually can see down into Crebilly Farm and how they would have seen each other from that day. These view sheds are so important. So perhaps with this plan or the next version, we can count to some of those different things. It still keeps the Robinsons intact, but also keeps the scenic and the byways of the Brandywine Battlefield so intact. And I do have a little message. I was going to kind of change the speech a little bit, but Birmingham Township was real quick to mention about putting turn lanes in and things like that to help out 926 and perhaps some of the traffic and through eminent domain. Why the hell would you put another farm, take land from us for more turn lanes on 926 through eminent domain? Isn't that just beating another farmer up for the same thing? I mean, if someone could explain to me the logic of that one township, which should be in the same preservation mode as we are, especially Birmingham Township, would even suggest eminent domain for turn lanes on 926 to help out another development is beyond me. So if somebody could explain that to me later, I'd really appreciate it because I'm getting on. So thank you guys very much.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Bonkowski. I live at 822 Serpentine Drive. As a neighbor with party status, I remain concerned about many of the issues that were part of the previously rejected plan. As part of Westtown Township, I remain even more concerned about the loss of green space that is such a vital part of our community. This is not a problem that is unique to Westtown. In the book, Collapse, How Societies Choose to Fail, or succeed. The author, Jared Diamond, details how societies have failed over time. He ponders how those communities either fail to recognize the challenge in their society or fail to take action. One of the case studies in the book highlights the development of the Bitterroot Valley in Ravalli County, Montana, not far from Big Sky, where people are drawn to wide open spaces, and those wide open spaces are threatened. In the book, there is a plea from Steve Powell, the county commissioner in Ravalli, and that is my same plea here. You have to protect the beauty of the landscape, the wildlife, and the agricultural land. Those are the things that create property value. The longer we wait to do the planning, the less landscape beauty there will be. Undeveloped land is valuable to the community as a whole. It is an important part of the quality of life that attracts people here. Let us recognize this green space problem and take action. For those who say it is too late and our current green space plan does not support the rejection of the development, I say it is not too late, thanks to the diligence and dedication of the board in part 1. Please, please, let's not fail at this. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Vince Boro, and I reside at 100 McFadden Road, Chadsford, and that's in neighboring Pennsbury Township. I'm going to keep it very brief this evening. I just wanted to get up here and face the audience and offer a moment of gratitude for everybody here for sticking in this process for the past 5 years and doing such a good job. There's nothing that I could have gotten up and said tonight that wasn't said far better by anybody in this audience. So thank you. I also want to turn to the supervisors and offer the same gratitude as well for your diligence and your job well done.
Sir, hang on one sec. So she can't hear you. You're also not talking towards her, so it's very hard. If you can sort of address her, Eleanor, court reporter.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's just very difficult for her to take you down.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I wanted to offer the supervisors the same gratitude for their diligence throughout this whole process and everything that they have put forth. And this evidentiary hearing, our group that we organized, Neighbors for Crebilly, which many of this audience tonight are a part of, we put forth evidentiary, we put evidence together based on the environment and also the I guess the historical aspects of this piece of property, entered them into the record. And we also entered constitutionality as well, and I think one of the other groups picked that up and had Article 1, subsection 27 of our Pennsylvania Constitution added as an exhibit for that evidence. So I want to say thank you as well. And in closing, to the supervisors, each and every one of you, when you took your oath of office, you put your hand on a Bible in front of people and you said that you would uphold the Constitution of this United States and also this Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And I just want to leave you with a thank you and a gentle reminder of that tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. John Helian, 1164 Lake Drive. Toll cares about toll. They have that right. They're here to make money. I've watched their signs pop up like dandelions and mushrooms, as well as their developments. Some dandelions are considered weeds, some mushrooms will kill you. To that end, they'll build their houses. And they will not have to look at them every day because they will live elsewhere. We will have to see them, I'm sorry.
They will not have to look at them every day.
Every day.
Yes.
We will have to see them, as will you. We're talking about a company with a consumer satisfaction rating of 1.38 out of 5, by the way. Their numbers are a bit sketchy. Like any person looking to make their case, They're going to take a range of numbers from high to low, and they're going to choose the numbers that best support their case, as they have done in the past. They did that in 1, they're doing it in 2. You cannot tell anybody with a brain that 800 additional cars is not going to impact traffic. We're all smarter than that. They take the numbers that best suit their case. You saw through this. You saw through this in Crebilly 1, and you addressed it. I know you are smart enough to see through this again. If some is good, more is not necessarily better. Yes, Chester County right now is one of the most desirable countries in the United States to live in. So people want to move here. But every time we add another development, we take away our history, we take away our greenery, we take away our grasslands, and all we get is more impervious space that adds to erosion, that adds to the heat, that takes away all the very things that Westtown and Chester County use to attract people. We lose every time we add another development. We have been here, all of us have been here, to Crebilly 1 or 2 and 2. I vow, and I'm sure these people will join me, we will be here for Crebilly 3, we will be here for Crebilly 4, we will be here for Crebilly 5 and 6.
My name is Jody McKee. I live at 311 Broad Run Road in Westchester. Green rolling hills, horses dotting pastured landscape, a farming way of life that sustains its inhabitants, taverns that refresh those who fought for the birth of our great country, and the very land and battlefields where that fight was won. Am I referring to Crebilly Farm in Westtown Township? In part, yes, for now. But I'm also describing a place long gone, a place ravaged by out-of-control, gluttonous development that consumed the history, natural beauty, and delicate ecosystems of the place where I grew up. That place is the village of Eagle in northern Chester County. Not so long ago in the 1970s, I grew up there when the fox hunt still rode through our property. I took long walks through cornfields and pasture lands. It was a stunning place of quintessential Chester County bucolic beauty, but no more. If you want to see what the proposed Toll Brothers development will do to Westtown Township, to Crebilly Farm, and the impact it will have on the surrounding towns, I encourage you to take a short drive north and witness what I hope will not be the future in Westtown. Where once there was verdant pasture land, now sit hundreds of townhomes. Where once roamed Native American tribes, now tower hundreds more single-family homes with nary a stone's throw between them. Where once you could walk miles along narrow country roads and see only a handful of cars, there are now long lines of traffic and congestion. And unsurprisingly, Toll Brothers is the chief architect of the majority of these developments. Progress, change, and development is all a part of life. We know and accept that. Responsible development affords others the ability to enjoy the vast beauty we're all privileged to live in. Private landowners, of which I am one, should be able to sell their land and enjoy the profits, but not, I would argue, in a way that destroys history and the inherent beauty that drives property values. What you ensure with the Toll Brothers' proposed development of Crebilly is the unavoidable downstream consequences of shopping plazas, congestion, overburdened infrastructure, and destruction of all that we hold dear and that makes this place so special. And so we're all clear, that change is irrevocable. My little village of Eagle lives only in my memories now, a place I can visit only in my mind. It has become a bustling town of transaction and traffic. Are those types of places necessary? Sure. Desirable to some? Evidently. But soon, if we do not stand firm, what we love most and hold dear about living here will be gone forever. The traffic, the congestion, the blighted landscape will be our children's inheritance. The stunning views ruined forever, the wildlife and natural ecosystems destroyed, our property values shattered. The ever-encroaching city-like feeling will be here, never to be undone. I care deeply about responsible development and helping to preserve the exquisite beauty and history of Crebilly Farm because after moving away, I returned too late to raise my voice against the ravaging of evil. Please don't allow Crebilly to become another place we can only visit in photos and memories. There's still time for this beautiful piece of land, and I strongly urge Westtown Township Board of Supervisors to deny conditional use to Toll Brothers.
Yes, my name is Bill Boswell. I live at 1151 Lake Drive in Westtown. And as I was coming up there, it's well written, and people have said most of it. But the part I want to talk about is something we're going to think about for hundreds of years. And the first part, I know, when I was a kid growing up, we saw these big cannons by Sandy Hollow. I couldn't read what they were. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. These big cannons. Right?
Cannons.
Cannons. They were Civil War cannons, and I couldn't figure out why. Well, in 1900, somebody tried to make this a national park. It went great till World War I hit. They had to stop. They tried after World War I in the Roaring '20s and got really pretty far. Then the Great Depression hit. They had to stop. Then World War II and the Korean War started. They had to stop. And since then, they thought it was a waste. They didn't have any more land to take. We have a very special spot to take now. The one corner of Crebilly Farm, 926 in New Street, actually was part of the battle that saved the colonial army. General Howe's strategy was to take both of his flanks and trap the army in the middle.
I'm sorry, was to take his...
Both of his flanks and trap the Americans in the middle. Coming up from the Brandywine, he did just that. He pushed the Americans all the way back to Sandy Hollow. But he couldn't get the people off of Crebilly. It took longer. He couldn't flank them. And so he pushed them all to the right. So the British were on one side and the Americans on the other. That's what happened here. If the British had been successful, the war would have been over. The army would have been captured and there would be no United States of America. But by not allowing the British to do what they wanted, we kept the war going and we eventually won. So this is pretty sacred. If you don't do it now, there may not be another time. So what do you want your kids to hear? We did it or we didn't do it? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Linda Adkins. I live near Valley Forge Park. I came tonight because Crebilly has been a beacon to me for almost 50 years. I traveled throughout the East Coast very heavily with horses, and it's on the way to New Bolton Center. So anytime we had a sick or an injured horse in the back, we knew we were safe because we were, coming home basically. So I want to tell you a little bit about my history and the reason I'm here tonight. I've been a private estate manager, estates, like E-S-T-A-T, okay. For a major landowner, and they own lots of communities and office complexes on the East Coast, and my job was to take care of the estate and the home and the wildlife and the pond. For many years, I also took care of other major farms. My background also, prior to that, was farming and agriculture, so I grew up with pretty much all species and all crops. And the farms I managed later were up to 1,200 acres. So my college degree became animal science, of course, and I have additional education beyond that in business. I've been an equine professional almost all my life, and that's multi-sports, so there's hunters and jumpers and event horses and all kinds of things. And I've done that up to FEI levels, which is some of the top levels, and I've also experienced the joy of many sunrise trail rides. I mean, there's a very big bonding experience if you're involved in horses and equestrian sports. So on this farm management, I've been, of course, involved in large amounts of wildlife and huge tracks that were in place to manage that. And so I've also worked on up to 7,500 acres of federal and state and private land to work with some wild mustangs, which is also considered wildlife at that level. I've also been on very elite estates up on the North Shore of Long Island, which is it's actually the jewel of the New York State Park System. Historic buildings that go back to Marshall Fields, for who owns the Marshall stores. And I also recently was a HOA community manager. So I've been working with one of the largest global businesses for community management. And so my job is anything from re-roofing buildings to building streets and whatnot, snow, landscape, that sort of thing. And several million in budgets, and we did old plus brand new HOA communities. Toll Brothers was a major client, and so some of the developing communities I would be in charge of. So I will tell you that I had a great working relationship with Toll Brothers. However, I will say that there were water discharge issues that the homeowners were stuck with. They wouldn't remove very huge, large mounds of dirt and fencing and be full of weeds. Wouldn't top coat the streets before the transfer took place for the community. The homeowners waited 7 years to get their streets done. And there was huge stucco issues that went on, massive stucco issues. So that was all put on the homeowners who, moved into these $1 million properties. And so, I also had the experience of speaking with them and saying, wow, I could have helped with Foxcatcher back when that was done for the DuPonts. And they said, wow, we wish we had known you beforehand, before we did that. We would have liked to have spoken to you then. So along with that, I also have been a nonprofit manager for over a decade. I taught townships and land conservancies about land preservation using equestrian sports. I worked also frequently with all levels of politicians, from state reps through congressmen, to do legislative changes. I am a real estate agent, and my only interest is farms and estates, and so I've taught courses in buying your dream farm for business planning for horse people. And I've also, for my own HOA community, helped with the restoration of a revolutionary graveyard. So it included, getting grants and helping do the research at the Historic Society and so on, and scheduling library enactment and all the things you would expect to do. I also have been involved in grant writing, so I'm very familiar with going to foundations and asking for money to help with some of these things. Fortunately, I've had a great interest in conservation and farms, and so I can actually give examples of 16 properties I had some level of involvement in, or I've studied. They successfully came up with other plans to preserve themselves. And if there's a need for preservation ideas, I can bring a list to the table. It's over 200 ideas that I've seen, and so made a list. So I care about Crebilly. It literally represents all that I care about. Between the equestrian, the wildlife, the history, and the land itself. Yeah, I'm glad to align with anybody here who's interested. I'm aligning with Neighbors for Crebilly. I'm glad to align with Toll. I am glad to align with the Robinson family. And glad to speak to all of you and try to create a situation that respects all the interests. So if I can bring my professional skills to the table, I'm glad to offer them. And I have experience and background that might be helpful, certainly in this situation. And if there's anyone here who feels that I can assist them, please reach out to me after the meeting. Okay, thank you.
Thomas Martin, 501 West Pleasant Grove Road. You hear me okay? Good. I'm going to read from a prepared statement. Would like to take this opportunity to express my opposition to the proposed Toll Brothers development of Crebilly Farm in the hopes that it will assist and encourage the Westheimer Township Board of Supervisors to deny the conditional use application currently submitted. The principal reasons for my opposition are these. 1, impact on the community. While the COVID-19 pandemic has been awful in many respects, it did clearly illustrate what traffic and traveling on West Pleasant Grove Road and Route 202 is like at seemingly reasonable usage levels. While not traffic-free, these roads have seen recent vehicular usage that appears in line with their intended designs, particularly around weekday rush hours. On West Pleasant Grove Road, the reduction in high-speed cut-through rush hour traffic has been substantial, and the resulting increase in safety is palpable. The traffic has only recently begun to rebound to pre-pandemic levels, and with it, the increase in higher speed cut-through usage and multiple light cycle backups on Route 202. The addition of hundreds of additional vehicles coming and going on a regular and/or a daily basis will only add traffic load to an already overburdened road system. Exactly the wrong direction for the health and safety of our community. 2. Impact on the environment. The additional vehicular traffic, plus hundreds of additional regular local vehicles, longer idling wait times at intersections, and higher travel speeds on local roads will contribute more air, water, light, and noise pollutants to our environment, increasingly endangering the health and welfare of residents and wildlife. Beyond traffic impacts, the construction of a new sewage treatment facility on Crebilly Farm adds additional environmental burden to our ecosystems. As the facilities such as these will someday fail, Westtown Township will inherit either the responsibility of cleanup and environmental remediation and/or the costs of the same. Neither is desirable. 3. Impact on the physical health of Westtown Township. The new sewage treatment facility, proposed as part of the Toll Brothers plan, also represents a substantial financial risk for Westtown Township for no demonstrated upside. We heard testimony that sewage treatment plants do and will fail, and the theory that some interested party will inevitably want to purchase such a facility. No future buyer was identified, no contingency plans or funds were described for the assured future cleanup and maintenance. We are being asked to assume risks to our health and safety. We are being asked to assume environmental risk. We are being asked to assume unbounded financial responsibility into the future, all with no to little upside for the Westtown community. Also, Toll Brothers can generate short-term financial profit. Crebilly Farm is a jewel of Westtown Township, and the current owners should be commended on their stewardship. I urge the Board of Supervisors to reject the Toll Brothers application and hope that they can find a path forward amenable to the current owners, the current Westtown Township community, and the future health of the Westtown Township and its citizens.
Hello, Mark Landon, 1270 Birmingham Road in Birmingham Township, right around the corner. Thank you to the supervisors for letting us speak today. Toll Brothers has a clear goal with this project, to maximize profits. They're motivated to build as much as they can and spend as little as they can get away with so that they can make as much money as possible. Now your neighbors, those of us in the auditorium tonight, have an important goal too. And that goal is for the development, any development at Crebilly, to have the minimum possible impact on our beautiful landscape, our historic legacy, and the already horrible traffic on our roads. Unfortunately, the more Toll Brothers achieves their goal, the less your neighbors achieve theirs. I ask and urge the supervisors to use all of their tools and do everything possible to get the best possible deal for your neighbors. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeff Janofsky. You want me to spell it? Janofsky. 985 Thornberry Road in Birmingham Township. First of all, I want to say, thank you to everybody here for your persistence in seeing this through. I only moved to the area about 4 years ago. Lived down the street from Mark, who just spoke, and Randall, who spoke. And our properties are located very close to, adjacent to Birmingham Hill, which we're so fortunate to have, and that has been preserved. Especially during the pandemic, it's been amazing to see the increased traffic, positive traffic, people traffic, who want to come and walk and enjoy the outdoors, who have been able to come and benefit and preserve some level of sanity for the past 18 months as we've all gone through a very difficult time. And so, you know, as I stand here, I really feel like I have no right to really object to this. But I couldn't help but reflect just listening to, you know, one speech after the other, especially those talking about history. And it was amazing the connection that came together. And so bear with me as I share with you a little personal history. Back in 1967, I was born. In '69, my parents relocated from the Washington, D.C. area to Northeast Philly for a job opportunity that my dad had. In 1969, they moved from Northeast Philly out to Cherry Hill and bought their dream house. 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath house on a 1/4-acre lot built by Toll Brothers. That house was built on a portion of land that used to be, you know, a working farm, and actually a significant portion of that property remained a working farm. It was an apple orchard. And for a portion of my youth, I actually remember trespassing through the farm to walk to school, to my middle school, or to on occasion pick some apples, particularly around Thanksgiving, and we'd use them to bake an apple pie or what have you. Slowly but surely, over the course of my youth, Toll Brothers nipped away at the remaining portions of that farm, such that if you were to go there today, you will not remember or see any remnants of what was there before. And that's a piece of property that has zero historical value. And it's amazing when I think back to my youth that people used to say, oh wow, like, you grew up in Cherry Hill, that's a great place, isn't it? Well, you couldn't pay me to live there now. It's a township, a huge township filled with major routes that go through it, one circle after the other to manage traffic that's unbearable, strip mall after strip mall, and the only thing Cherry Hill maybe is still known for is it has a mall. So when I think about what you guys are facing here with the historical value that this unique property has to it, I can't help but think, like, how are you going to feel 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, about this very special place where we all are privileged to live? And, you know, I can't believe the history of the people who are here, who have spoken, and their ties back to, you know, Crebilly Farm over the years. And so to think that at some point, you know, their children or grandchildren are going to come back to the area and There will be no remnants of this gorgeous countryside that we get to enjoy every day right now, that it will be gone, just like that apple orchard that I grew up adjacent to as a kid currently has, you know, there's no signs of to this day. So I urge you, not on my behalf, but on behalf of these good people, to reject this application, because if you don't, even if Toll Brothers comes back and modifies it and tries to, you know, just take the piece by 202, they're going to come back and nip away at every last corner of that property until they've maximized what they can get out of it, and then they'll move on. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, is there any other public comment for tonight?
Thank you. My name is Jack Embick, and I live at 189 Pheasant Run Road in Westtown Township. I'm not here as a PC member. These are my personal opinions and views. And these remarks are going to relate to the Pennsylvania Constitution, Article 1, Section 27. It's also known as the Pennsylvania Environmental Rights Amendment. I maintain that the Pennsylvania ERA must be observed and implemented by Pennsylvania municipal governments. I also maintain that Westtown must determine whether and how the Crebilly development proposals affect the protected values of the ERA. I maintain that Westtown must ensure that the proposed Crebilly development does not adversely affect the protected constitutional values. I maintain that any adverse impacts or effects must be identified and evaluated for short-term effects, for long-term effects, for cumulative effects. I maintain that if Westtown determines that the proposed Crebilly development adversely affects any of the protected constitutional values, then Toll must reduce the impacts so that they are insignificant. So, I have some questions for the board to consider in its deliberations about the conditional use application. And these largely are in honor of Mr. Pomerantz, who is an interrogator par excellence, in my opinion.